Hi again, Stephen D. Nice to see all of you. Seems like there's been a lot of discussion online ever since Bernie's endorsement of Hillary about, we've been betrayed, why go to Philadelphia, what's the point? And all the people who were considering whether or not to go and are now feeling like there's not a reason to go, I'm here to tell you you're wrong. Or at least I think you're wrong. I don't think that there's been any moment in our nation's history quite like the one we're facing now. And we have a right to be angry about what's happened in this country, in this election, but more importantly, in our lives, the lives that we lead, the lives our parents are leading, and the lives that our children are going to have to deal with in the future. And right now we're living in what might be called the end stage of capitalism. And it's literally eating this planet and the people who live upon it alive. And we're being told we're at fault because, we're not making enough money, or we can't find jobs, or it's all of our fault. It's not the fact that the corporations are controlling the government. Just to give you an idea, let's go over the funding of the Democratic National Convention. The federal government is giving them $42 million for security. $42 million. They're giving the Republican National Convention $50 million. Why do they need security? To keep you and me out of their damn conventions. So where are they getting the rest of the money that they need to, put on these extravaganzas? Because that's what these conventions become. They're just giant infomercials for the two major parties, which, pander to different groups of people, but essentially pursue the same agenda. An agenda that really hasn't helped either the poor or middle income people on the right, or the poor and middle income people on the left, or those mysterious, moderates, centrists, whoever they are. I think they only exist in Washington think tanks, to be honest with you. I mean, each party can claim they've done some small little thing that's benefited somebody in their base, but when you look overall at the things they've done, they've all benefited, for the most part, large corporations. And guess what? Who's funding the Democratic National Convention? I'll tell you who. Private corporate donors. They're putting up more than $50 million. And they're asking the Pennsylvania state legislature to pony up another $10 million. On top of what security money they're getting from the national government. So we're talking about over $100 million being spent on a 4-day party and TV commercial for an organization that claims it represents us, that claims it has the most progressive platform in its history. And that's nice, but it hasn't really pursued that platform, has it? Ever. Even when they've had progressive. But what we've seen pursued over the last 8 years is further national surveillance. We've seen lack of prosecution or indictment or investigation of the Wall Street firms and the large financial too big to fail banks that crashed our economy. They even cut deals for for companies that were laundering billions of dollars of drug cartel money, supporting organizations that have killed more people along the Mexican border than have died, you know, Americans that have died in the wars in the Middle East. Tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people in Mexico who've been killed. Others who are being exploited by the same corporations that are funding the Democrats and the Republicans. So why should we protest? Protests right now are essential. That's the only way we can make our voice heard. I'm not saying you have to protest in a march, run down a street necessarily, although I think those are important too. But there's a lot of different ways to protest. The Demexit, or the deregistration of the Democratic Party, is one example. Another example I've heard is people have proposed demonstrating and protesting out at the polling places this November. And you can't solicit for a candidate, but you can certainly protest, because honestly, can you really trust your vote's going to be counted? I can't. I don't have any trust. I don't have any faith in the system. We've just seen how, the two parties have managed to hijack the system to ensure that corporately vetted candidates get elected. And we're seeing all across the world, not just the United States, but all across the world, a systemic breakdown in the current world order. They're also big on globalization. What has globalization done for us? It's polluted our oceans beyond belief. It's killed off millions of species. It's just, destroying and contaminating our food supply. It's putting people in many countries in situations in which they are essentially slave laborers, because they have no way out other than suicide. Think about that. Chinese workers committing suicide because they have no way out of the job that they have, and they become so demoralized. That's what they're doing. Yet those are the products that we're benefiting from it, even as every year more and more people are being kicked out of the United States job market. People that are intelligent, smart, did what they were supposed to, went to college, went to grad school, and now find they can't get good jobs. Or even people that in their 40s and 50s, good workers who are being pushed out of their jobs because what's more important? Producing good products, producing something that makes our society better, or profiting the bottom line. And the way you profit the bottom line oftentimes these days is you lay off workers. So we need to be in Philadelphia. There's a number of events that are not marches or not rallies, that are involved. There's a lot of events that you can go to. There are people that are planning on protesting nonviolent civil disobedience, but there are a lot of other events in which there won't be any issue. And so I'm urging you, don't give up the fight right now, because we're running out of time. Our climate is collapsing, at least a climate that can sustain human life and the lives of so many other species. We're running out of time. People are being pushed into poverty all across the world at an ever-increasing rate, and we're literally running out of time. And now is, if we're going to do something about it, now is the time to start standing up and fighting back. And that means a lot of different things. It means supporting groups like Move to Amend, for example, that want to amend the United States Constitution to get, this incredibly stupid idea of corporate personhood literally out of the Constitution. That it wasn't even put there in the Constitution. It was interpreted by, quote, judicial activists who supported business interests. That's where corporate personhood comes in. The right has one thing. They're right about one thing in terms of judicial activism, but the biggest judicial activism has always been in favor of corporations and the people who profit the most from them, the people who own and run and make their money off of them. And the same people that are cutting and laying off people maybe one of you has been laid off because the corporation decided, it'll look better on the balance sheet this year. Our share prices will go up if we can show we had a better bottom line. And we've always got somebody who's willing to do that, extra 10 hours, 20 hours of work required. So think about that. And then get your ass to Philadelphia. That's all I got to say today. Signing off, Stephen D. See you in Philly. Bye.